You've tuned in to the Bellingham Podcast for the week of June 16th, 2019. This is episode 121. From the Republic of Cascadia, I am AJ Barce.
And trying to work on my own identity, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, last week, we talked about life in the Pacific Northwest and the culture that is fairly new compared to the rest of the country. We're continuing that conversation because this is a two-parter, as we talked about last week. So please continue to join the conversation. This, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, is the Bellingham Podcast.
Previously on the Bellingham Podcast. How you doing, Chris?
It's only been like seconds since we asked each other that. I'm doing just great. It's Friday yet again as we're recording. We just happened to hit stop on part one. And hey, look behind the curtain on podcast creation, kiddies. AJ, how are you doing now that we've had a 2-minute break to talk about this episode?
You're not supposed to tell everybody that's how we do this.
But you know what? What podcasts do give you a look behind the scenes?
True.
We're going first.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, we just had a good half-hour conversation because we like to keep it short for the 30-minute commute and also for the time slots that we have on community-powered KMRE 102.3 FM and streaming worldwide, nationwide, statewide, countywide, citywide, neighborhood-wide at KMRE.org.
Like a good neighbor, KMRE is there.
Oh, hey now. I wouldn't go that far, but anyway. Let's continue the conversation. When you last heard us, we were talking about some cultural oddities or uniqueness about the Northwest. We got some more cultural uniqueness that may not be prevalent in other areas of this nation. Hit it.
So we left off with accents and stuff, and we're going to keeping on with the people. And something else that is unique that might even relate to the language of our territory. I'm talking tattoos.
You know, we see them a lot on television. They're starting to become de rigueur if you're a fan of French. But I think this is about as personalized an area of self
identity
expression as the 5 adjective cup of coffee you drink while you're here in the PNW. We'll get to food in a second.
Later, yeah.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that one. But no, I've what used to be in the late 90s and early aughts, if I dare say, there was a little bit of a eyebrow raising trend of lower back tattoos, and we're not going to use that other term because we're keeping this clean and above board. But I'm seeing so many visible, professional, visible skin ink tattoos.
Yeah, same here.
I don't know how I feel about that because I'm an old man. I'm in a middle-aged zone, and I have zero ink on my body.
I know some old men that have some ink on their body.
I would imagine so, but I'm not those men. I'm me.
But what's interesting that I've noticed in our region is like kind of like if you look at tattoo art, there's different like styles of coming from different eras, like Sailor Jerry, that style and era of tattoo.
Where mother on your bicep like Popeye.
Yes. Yeah. Or you can see like the hula girl like dance as you flex. Your uncle flexes a certain muscle or whatever, right?
To describe like NPR, AJ is currently flexing his arm, even though he does not have a tattoo of a hula girl, nor a tattoo in general.
Full disclosures.
Right.
But no, like I've noticed in the Pacific Northwest, like a lot of our art is really like you see a lot of people wearing natural looking tattoos such as mountains, a lot of half sleeves of like silhouetted evergreen trees.
So let me jump in for a second, AJ, and interrupt you. For those that may not be ink aware or ink savvy, what is a half sleeve?
A half sleeve, like on your arm. A half sleeve is so a full sleeve would be like from the wrist. I am not a tattoo artist, nor do I play on podcasts.
Me neither.
You've got like a half sleeve, which would be like the shoulder down to like the arm, or maybe you have like a forearm coming up.
Okay.
Full sleeve is like from the wrist all the way up to like your like the rock style, you know,
fair
up
enough.
To the pectoral type of thing.
Fair enough. So that was a half sleeve as you were describing.
Yeah. But I mean, like a lot of our ink really kind of showcases the beauty that is the Cascadian region. Like you see a ton of lake or trees or representation of nature, that type of thing that comes out of our area.
So that is something of a stereotype, at least in our area in the Republic of Cascadia, Western Washington, Vancouver, Lower Mainland, Upper Oregon, Northwest Oregon area. A lot of that around.
Yeah.
And also a little bit of a fun oddity as we continue on some cultural things, we have to specify which Vancouver we're referring to.
This is so true.
Yeah.
Which is annoying for us, especially because Vancouver, hey Canada, is right, 45 minutes away from us?
Well, it's about 45 kilometers away from where we're actually recording.
Sorry.
Yes, but also there's, by the way, another Vancouver Washington exit 2. In the Washington I-5 exit 2 or so. We don't have as much confusion with Portland because we really don't acknowledge the Portland in Maine.
Well, what's funny is that you bring that up because there is also Bellingham, Maine, too. Sup, Maine?
I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was like Bellingham, Minnesota. But anyway.
Okay, so if you're listening to us, the Bellingham podcast, not in Bellingham, Washington, but Bellingham somewhere else, do send us a message. We'd love to know. I thought it was in Maine. Maybe it's Massachusetts.
It could very well be
an M
not
state.
Here.
Yeah. Not here. Yeah,
it's a Class M state.
It's a Class M state.
For you Star Trek aficionados.
Make it so, number one.
Indeed. Let's talk about food in the Northwest.
Yes,
because if there's one thing that I don't see as a cultural stereotype in the Pacific Northwest, which I lament, it's good barbecue.
Valid. No, I hear you there.
KC-Mo, Southern, Texan, whatever have you, Deep South, East Coast, loves me some barbecue.
Yep.
But we got transplants that are up here.
We do. But we also do something really good that those other regions don't do. We do smoked fish like there's nobody's business.
Yeah, we do a lot of smoking
salmon.
around here.
We can make salmon taste like candy. We can make salmon taste like the best filet mignon will taste like ground beef to you compared to what we can do. Largely because of our indigenous people and the practices around the fish.
And not only that, I will say this, we are getting a wonderful melting pot in the Northwest based on where we are in the Pacific Rim. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of our brothers and sisters in planet Earth that are coming from other countries that are incredibly skilled and talented in various areas, but a fusion of cuisine styles can also enhance things. But I do love me some barbecue.
Oh, trust me, you give me some beef with a good rub and been on a poke for hours on end. I got you, dude.
Yeah,
but
I'm getting hungry.
I mean, it's just because
I'm so getting hungry.
I know
right now,
we shouldn't have done this before.
That was a bad move.
But no, that's the one unique thing that's interesting because it's funny that you say barbecue because for us, smoked is kind of our barbecue, like the Pacific Northwest version of barbecue. We dry, we smoke.
Yeah, one of the things that friends from out of state or out of the region, when they come to visit and they fly into Seattle Tacoma International Airport, we'll pray for you, and I give them a tour of Seattle because, they've seen Sleepless in Seattle. But we do know how to make a pretty decent cup of chowder.
We do chowder.
In addition to what may be experienced in the Northeast.
Valid. Chowder is defined different.
We got a different kind of chowder. Which is a claim to fame of a stereotype. We also have, we'll talk about other areas of food, but as far as how we consume our food and such, we are definitely not one to be dining on great-grandma's fine bone china from the 1800s. We are going eco-friendly.
Very much so. Bamboo, wood plates, wood utensils.
Yes, we're sustainable around here, yo.
Yeah, very much. And I think it's more of a growing trend, too. And I think that is out of necessity, but also out of conscientiousness. I mean, that is something, because we're so plugged into nature, I feel that the ramifications of that kind of go farm to table and how we serve it as well.
Perhaps as we are surrounded by so much nature in this beautiful green mountain wooded area with water, blue lakes, seas, oceans around us, and snow white capped mountain peaks, maybe we're more aware of what our impact can be on the environment, which is why we may be so eager to be eco-friendly as opposed to some who may not have mountains, plains, and seas and such.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway. I'll drink to that out of my eco-friendly Clean Canteen reusable mug.
Very good. Yeah, so aluminum lined. But the thing is, we do have an oddity as far as our food. Oftentimes, you'll have these delivery trucks that will bring in food, supplies, and things. We in the Northwest like to know where our food's coming from.
Yep, we want to know if the chicken was, if cage free and did it have a good life? did he have a partner? Did if you don't know what I'm riffing off of, it's the episode of Portlandia.
I think a lot of Northwest people listening to this show right now, like, yep, they watch Portlandia.
Yep, totally Portlandia. Colin the Chicken episode of Portlandia.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we'll get talk to Portland in a little bit. But anyway, we really care about the quality of our food.
And where it comes from and who did it and what were their practices. Like the joke of Colin the Chicken aside, it's interesting because like we do have things like Whole Foods and stuff, but there is a lot, like we have said for 121 episodes, buying local. We want to support our local communities and businesses and agroecology.
Yep.
You know, CSA boxes are a big deal around here.
What are CSA boxes?
That's the farming boxes that you can get where like the farmer picks the different things and you pick up a box of different vegetables and stuff.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, CSA.
Cool.
So yeah, like that's a big thing here.
Community sustainable agriculture.
Yes.
I just made that up. I don't know if that's it or not, but hey.
My wife will check it.
There you go.
She's in agroecology.
Thanks, AJ's wife.
Thanks, honey. But no, we definitely want to know not just what we're putting in our bodies, but like where it came from. And we are huge advocates of things like we come from the apple state. And I find it funny when I see apples not from Washington State because they're never selling. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's things like that. We have Honeycrisp apples from a specific apple place here.
Yes.
You know, that we will go to first before we get a Red Delicious. You know?
No, I loves me my Honeycrisp. I'm gonna pull the pin on a conversational stereotypical grenade here, folks. So buckle up. When I was growing up in the 80s, one of my favorite shows was Cheers.
Oh, yeah, where everybody knows your name.
That's right. And I watched so many jingles, commercial jingles in between television shows. The King of Beers. Tonight is kind of special. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrow. I'm riffing, you know, like, and such. And so I was kind of inundated with a lot of drank advertisements. But guess what? We're in the 21st century and we're about to enter a new decade. Residents in the Northwest in Cascadia have a master's degree in beer snobbery. It's not just domestic, the popular domestics you might find all around the country. Oh, no. We know our beer and we don't like anything that doesn't cater to these 5 million microbrews that we got around this region.
Just today, 5 million today.
Just today. And
tomorrow
it's growing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 5.5 million. No, we definitely know our IPAs, our porters, our stouts, our blondes, our wheats, our ciders are now starting to creep in. Cousin Cider's coming over to visit. He wants you to drink them too.
But also it goes back to what I just said. We want to know, we want to support local agriculture. Like a lot of these brews are coming out of our own neighborhoods, you know, like cideries and such, distilleries. I'm thinking like Bellwood Acres, they do gin.
Yep.
You know,
oh, and tasty stuff. Should you be one to have a drink? Let's stop right here. Here's my usual bit during the podcast. We want to say straight out that we support all of our heroes that are currently in recovery. We never want to say or do anything that might make you hurt. And so while we are talking about alcohol, we certainly don't condone it, especially if you are underage or if you're going through recovery.
Very good legal speak. Anyway, but no, it's just interesting because like we have a lot of distilleries and breweries and cideries, and it's each place that you have that drank has a very unique terroir. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm thinking about the guys down in Oregon, 40 and 20, guys. And they talk about on their show, they usually talk about the different brews that they are talking about locally. And it's very region specific.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about Rainier beer, folks.
While that was huge in the 80s, because I remember that jingle, it was simply a motorcycle, Rainier beer. That was awesome in the early 80s. Sing along if you know the words, folks. But no, it's been kind of decentralized.
Yes.
In which it's really easy to have a small batch brewing company made out of your
artisanal, crafted,
that's a great way to put it.
Those type of things. And artisanal, crafted, vintage, that type of thing. That's definitely a part of our Pacific Northwest culture.
Yep. And so we've gone for about maybe 45 minutes so far without tackling the real stereotype that exists in the Pacific Northwest. And that, of course, is coffee.
Oh, Really? That's a thing here?
Yeah.
How's that a thing?
Well, this company started in the late 70s, I think.
Is Starbucks?
I think you said it.
Well, because we're talking about the cultural significance of Starbucks. I've been to the original Starbucks.
Yes, we all. If you're from this area, you've been to the original one.
But for those 5 people that aren't. But no, like it's interesting because you did not say the green labeled or green labeled white cupped coffee house because originally it was brown.
Yes.
But we could say Mermaid Lady Coffee.
That's a good way of putting it.
Okay.
Anyway, we've already talked about the coffee obsession that we have in this area because the weather makes us want to stay indoors. Even though we are outdoorsy, we like to have a good cuppa.
Look, we're like the Danish. I'm just saying. We like our hygge.
Yes, we like our
coffee
hygge.
houses are hygge.
It's a stereotype of the Northwest. Let's move on. Speaking of green labeled coffee and stuff like that, this is a stereotype.
It's legal in our state now.
Yeah, it's legal. And so we have green shops with a lot of clever names.
Yeah. No, they're not. No, Chris, I will go on. They're not clever named. They're not. No.
Are they eye rolling to you?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Well, so for some, it's kind of like, and for some others, it may not be. So I don't want to do another disclaimer.
Dispensaries, yeah.
Let's move on.
Anyway.
But one uniqueness about the Northwest, and maybe this is the case down south or in the Midwest or in the Plains or even in the South. How many of y'all out there are willing to wait 45 minutes for brunch on the weekends?
That's normal.
But you see, the thing is, probably not in the East Coast. They want their food like right now. That was a snap of my fingers, not Thanos' snap, but it was my snap. They want their stuff right now because they got to do that. They're in motion. They got stuff to do.
New York Minute. I didn't think about this. Yeah.
And so we may have adopted something from the Southern California, LA mindset. It's all good in the hood, dude. I don't mind waiting and looking on my phone and my Instagram feed while I'm waiting 45 minutes to get my plate of artisanal eggs from a GMO-free pen and my ham that was corn-fed in my backyard for brunch, dude. Wow, that was a rant.
It was, and we're not offending anybody because
I'm offending everyone.
We mock everybody, including ourselves. But
anyway.
No, I didn't think about that. You're right. Like maybe we are on surfer time. I don't know.
It could very well be a cultural thing that we like our food the way we like our food, and we don't mind waiting and paying a little bit extra price than the $3.99 blue plate special at a national chain restaurant that might be able to have quick turnover for that.
But also along that same lines, like if it wasn't for Starbucks and their highly consumerizing the lifestyle of coffee, we would not have the $6 cup of coffee because back when they first got started, going to any diner, it's like 25 cents, 50 cents, $1 for a cup of coffee. And now how much is your mocha chakalaka lacamino?
About $5.25 with tip.
Bingo.
Yeah. So that's an oddity of the Northwest as far as a stereotype that we always wait for breakfast. But talk to me about this cream cheese hot dog.
Did you not know this?
Oh, I've had them before, but
Okay.
I've had them, but they're in unique circumstances.
They are. Usually they're around stadiums, like you'll find it at Quest or Clink or whatever it's named today. But T-Mobile.
No, CenturyLink is.
Yeah, I don't remember,
Seahawks
dude.
Stadium. Anyway, moving on.
I don't remember.
It's around the big stadiums.
But no, we have like the East Coast. They've got their style of dogs. We've got our dogs.
They've got Philly steaks, and they've got the Nathan's famous dogs. We've got Seattle style dogs. I don't know who the originator is. If you do know, shoot us a message. Yeah. I've got a link in the show notes. About the fact that cream cheese slathered hot dogs is a Seattle thing. That's a Seattle dog. I discovered it back way before I met my wife, back when I was a bachelor and had a different hair color. Downtown Seattle, in proximity to a stadium in Pioneer Square, which was a downtown location where there's a lot of drinking establishments. After hours, there's these carts.
Yeah, the vendors.
And a buddy of mine had introduced me to the world of the cream cheese dog with grilled onions and stuff. And I'm like, on paper, these ingredients don't match.
But man,
it was tasty at 2 a.m.
Isn't it?
We've got a lot of food stereotypes around here. I can see a little bit more in the future, but we'll save that for
we'll save a different one.
Coffee, salmon or seafood. We got our own kind of seafood stuff around here, microbrews, and of course the other stuff.
So something before we jump into fashion, I want to throw in. There's a subsection that you inspired me because you talked about jingles, and because you are the king grand poobah of pop culture references.
Yes.
Name 2 shows that were made famous by the Pacific Northwest.
Well, let's see. There's Twin Peaks.
Bingo. Twin Peaks was filmed.
Well, Frasier was in Seattle.
Yep.
Twin Peaks was
I
filmed
forgot about Frasier. That's right.
Never forget about Frasier.
Yeah.
Because Jane Leeves had a little bit of a crush on her early on. Twin Peaks was filmed in the Eastern Washington on, what is it, I-5? I forget the name of the town, but that was it. And then,
wasn't it Snoqualmie?
I think it's on the other side of the pass.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Twin Peaks fans, help us out here.
I thought it was Snoqualmie that they filmed it. But anyway, but also Northern Exposure.
Yes, Northern Exposure.
Which was not filmed in Alaska.
And also, I believe, Grey's Anatomy.
Well, yeah, Grey's Anatomy because of the...
Don't diss the Grey's Anatomy. My daughter loved watching Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, no, McSteamy, McDreamy, no, not my thing. Anyway,
okay, you're blaspheming now for all the ladies.
I am blaspheming. And Grey, I'm sorry. Nope, not my thing, yo.
They
jumped the shark when the ferry exploded.
You asked me to name 2 shows. I gave you Foe.
Yes.
I think that was 4. Anyway, moving on.
I just wanted to point out that the Northwest Seattle area is indeed in pop culture and in entertainment.
If we're going to a Northwest stereotype, we also need to talk about Vancouver being, at one time, a movie filming capital.
Wait, which Vancouver? Vancouver,
BC. Yes. No, I'll never forget the first time I saw Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah.
They had the audacity to believe that they're portraying New York City, the Bronx, while filming in Vancouver, a completely different city. I'm like, are you kidding me? That was my kind of initial exposure to Vancouver being a film place. Anyway, let's talk about fashion in the Northwest.
I got to bust out my umbrella because it always rains up here, right?
Before that, let's bust out a nice shout out to community-powered KMRE 102.3 FM.
Community-powered and streaming online at kmre.org?
That's right. So, as we're talking about attire and wardrobe, Southern California has theirs.
Yeah.
The South has theirs because they got a lot of humidity and a lot of hot temps.
East Coast buttoned up
and formalized and also bitterly, blizzardly cold.
That's a thing. Polar vortexes?
Yes. How are we in the Northwest, AJ?
I think we are an onion. We have lots of layers.
That's a good way of putting it. Lots of layers, lots of, that's a good way of putting it.
But no, like I love watching anything, any pop culture reference or film that uses Seattle as its basis. And if anybody walks into the scene with a black umbrella, that's not a thing.
Yeah, we don't do the umbrellas here in the PNW.
That's not a thing. No, North Face, you could have, even a hoodie would be closer, even though I'd say Pacific Northwest attire is brought to you by Gore-Tex and mostly.
Okay. Fair enough.
I will not invoke the word athleisure.
You just did.
Well, no, I mean, that's not our attire. Athleisure,
right, no, we don't roll like that.
No, but it's starting to creep in, I have noticed.
Yeah.
But our athleisure, before that was a thing, athleisure in the Pacific Northwest means that you probably rocked either REI or North Face or Eddie Bauer, see previous episode on their history, because literally you would work 9 to 5 and then at 5:30 grab a pint and then by 6 hit a trail, like, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like our athleisure was tech style clothing that would work for the office and then your outdoor office.
Multifunctional, pragmatic, if you will. It wasn't just like I have this outfit for this time frame of the day. Now I'm going to switch and change clothes. We're on the go still.
Yeah, because if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. It's going to change in the Pacific Northwest.
Right. Exactly.
So you have to be prepared for everything.
So anyway, if you're new to the Northwest or you might be visiting the Northwest, don't bring an umbrella.
Yes.
TSA won't like it.
No.
Bring a hat.
Only Mary Poppins will.
Right. And but let's talk about some other accessories that we have, which is kind of curious with the weather.
So this is something that has been a reoccurring trope that I've noticed in the news every so often, but I went as far back as 1993 as this initial report, and that is that Seattle buys more Ray-Bans per capita than any other city in the United States.
You went back a quarter century?
I did, because this comes up every so often, and everybody always goes, wait, Seattle, not Southern California, San Diego, or how does that work? And that is largely because there was other studies that we will throw down on nice pair of sunglasses because like, oh yeah, this is great. Finally, summer is here. By the end of summer, which is like, 2 months, we put them away. We either lose them, break them, or whatever. And so we end up buying another pair the next season.
I can understand that. And I'll give my full disclosure here. I'm a resident of the Northwest, even though in the previous episode, I'm only 57% PNW life as this quiz that we got in the show notes. But if there's any chance that I might see a shadow, I'm putting on my sunglasses.
Same here.
Because we only see the sun every now and then. And even in October or November, if there is a brief sunbreak, foomp, they go on. I'm an Oakley man myself, not much for Ray-Bans, but that's all good.
Yeah,
but that statistic is really ironic because you would think Southern California or Arizona. Florida, yeah.
I also think part of this is that because we're so active also, I would love to go diving near like a lot of our like Boulevard Park and stuff because I imagine there are some sweet goodies at the bottom of that.
I can imagine.
They fall over.
Off people's heads as they're looking at
kayaking,
exactly. So let's throw some people under the bus. What do you say?
Oh, I love that. Us, to start, right?
If you think so, what are some stereotypes of fashionistas and stuff?
Well, much like you wearing flannel and rocking
Today,
a beard.
I just happened to wear
a flannel.
flannel.
You did.
Yeah.
So no, like flannel is a thing. I think that stems back not just, I'm not talking like swinging an axe flannel, even though a lot of our area, if you look at the the good old days of television, there was a show that depicted old school Seattle when it was still a logging community.
Rocky and Bullwinkle?
No, not Rocky and Bullwinkle. That would be Canada. No, there was my pops is probably like listening to our show right now and screaming at the top of his lungs what the name of this show is.
What's the show, Pops?
But no, there was this old show I remember watching with my dad where it depicted like old school Seattle and old school Puyallup and the logging days and stuff. And no, I'm not talking about lumberjacks. You totally just sideswiped where I was going with flannel. I'm talking about grunge, but before that, it was logging.
Okay. Sounds good. Keep going.
I stumped Chris Powell.
Yes, you did. No, I'm not aware of this TV show.
Hey, trust me, by the time this airs, my dad will let me know what that show was.
Sounds good.
But no, a flannel has kind of a double-edged axe in the Pacific Northwest. Yes, there's the lumberjack-esque style that comes from our area.
A lumbersexual?
A lumbersexual.
Really? Is that a thing?
That's a thing. That's
oh my God, I'm old.
Beard and like the more rugged looking, the jeans and the flannel. But then there's the other side of flannel, which comes out of the 90s, which is grunge era, which is kind of more the flannel, the black and white flannel that you're wearing.
It's not necessarily to keep warm when you're out in the woods.
No, you put it around your waist and you metal.
Or
I'm thinking Kurt Cobain style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but we also have beards.
Beards,
are
lots
big
of beards.
Here.
Yep.
You got one.
Yep.
I barely want to grow one, and then I get sick of it and I shave it, much to my wife's chagrin. But there are a lot of like full growth.
Oh yeah,
like
immaculate
ZZ Top-esque beards.
There are beard competitions that happen.
Yeah, some guys just go and strain and boom, they got a beard.
Yeah,
growth.
no, and it's a thing. I mean, it's a thing.
So. I'm sorry, just thinking about these things are distracting me a little bit. Fleece definitely is a Northwest stereotype.
Oh, totally.
Because it gets cold, it gets chilly.
Yep.
We are in a higher latitude towards the North Pole compared to Southern California. And yeah, you got to bring layers, and just in case it gets cold. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is your fleece of choice?
These days, probably North Face, but I mean, I've North Face, Columbia, Eddie Bauer. I mean, all of them.
I think I'm down with Columbia.
Yeah. Patagonia. Yeah. I mean, all of them.
Well, and an oddity that I noticed in this area. Why do people wear socks with sandals?
I don't know. Matter of fact, Birkin socks go with your Birkenstocks, apparently.
Puke.
Don't look at me. Somebody told me that recently.
I'm not a fan of that.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing, but I was told that was a thing in researching the show as diligently as we mock our show.
Well, we've had fun. So when this airs or when it's released, happy Father's Day, AJ.
Happy Father's Day, Chris.
About a month ago, we gave props to all the moms out there for Mother's Day. You know what? AJ and I are dads. And we're going to indulge for a little bit. This is to all the dads out there that are sacrificing, working hard, doing what they can to provide, being faithful, being loving,
partner.
being a good partner, being loving, and doing what they got to do for their spouse and their kiddos.
Yeah.
On behalf of the Bellingham Podcast, here's to you.
Ching ching.
Ching ching. As a father of a toddler, props to what you're doing, AJ, and how you are dedicating yourself to your kiddos' health and well-being, and what you're doing with your diet and your time, your work-life balance.
Yeah.
And you know what? Props to me for having a 17-year-old girl.
Dude, that's my bet. I was going to say props to you.
I'm not like I'm not fishing for it.
Yes, Captain Minimalist, but
Yeah.
props to you in the fact that you are also, as a small business owner, doing awesome with your work-life balance, raising an awesome teenage daughter,
Thank you.
and also being an awesome, loving, and minimalist husband to your awesome wife. Hi, Chris's wife.
Yes, who's a non-minimalist, both of them, and that's all good. Anyway, we're doing what we can, and for those dads out there, or for those who are married to dads, or for those who have dads, let them know how much you appreciate them on this Father's Day weekend, if you will. All right, let's wrap it up.
That wraps it up for this 121st edition of the Bellingham Podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us wherever you like to get your podcasts in the Pacific Northwest or otherwise. If you are in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Community powered and streaming at kmre.org.
Wait, didn't we already do that bit?
We just did about 75 seconds ago.
That's okay. Oh my gosh, I love Cascadia. I'm AJ Barsay.
And happy Father's Day once again to all those dads out there. I'm Chris Powell. Thanks once again for joining us on the Bellingham Podcast.
Don't forget to say I love you to your dad.
Amen.